Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 10 of the F223 Ollie Bearman career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here at the Hungary. 13 points covering our top 5 drivers at the moment. It is still Brad Benavidez that leads the way, but yeah, we are sat in P3 tied with Hungary Cordeal, of course. If you missed out on the video that went live last weekend from Silverstone, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. But yeah, 5 rounds to go of the season, 10 races if you include the 2 ahead of us this weekend. We have got a lot of work to do between now and the end of the campaign if we want to become Formula 2 champion and hopefully get our seat in Formula 1. Get yourself subscribed if you're new around here as well. A massive thank you to everyone for the support throughout the entirety of 2023. But let's head down to the track. Well, I believe we've only taken 1 pole position then so far this season, so it would be lovely if we could try and get another one here today at the Hungary. In terms of setup, not really too sure in what direction we ideally want to take the car here. There is the threat as well of rain in the sprint race, so we're going to have to be really, really careful to make sure that we try and stay out of trouble. And it could obviously as well potentially open up some strategy as we get into the main event as well on Sunday. But of course, yeah, those 2 bonus points for pole position could be pivotal by the end of the year. This really does seem like a championship that is going down to the wire. So let's try and get a good lap here.
The grid is all set for the race tomorrow, but before we go, let's quickly remind ourselves of our top 3, which are
Vesti,
Hauger, Enzo Fittipaldi. With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the feature race tomorrow, so make sure you join us there.
Well, there we go. Back-to-back pole positions for Frederik Vesti in this series, but it's Dennis Hauger that is going to join him on the front row once again. Brad Benavidez there up inside the top 10. The same for Arthur Leclerc, so I'm sure he's looking to try and score some more points this weekend. But 3 tenths away is only good enough for P13 for ourselves there. Hungary Cordeal a little bit down the order, and then of course one of our other big rivals in Enzo Fittipaldi right towards the front. Of course, Jan Daruvula got himself back in that championship fight last weekend, has also had a disaster here. He'll line up P21 on the grid. But yeah, we've got a lot of work to do. Let's get into the sprint.
It's time for this weekend's Formula 2 race here at the Hungary. A popular track with a lot of history. I'm sure we're in for an absolute thrill ride of a race today. The Hungary is located 12 miles northeast of the capital, Budapest. It's 2.7 miles long, featuring 14 corners, and it's got a reputation for making overtaking difficult. Nevertheless, there's a history of some truly exceptional races here. Let's hope our Formula 2 drivers can serve up some more of that today. Joining me for all today's excitement, a man who is no stranger to this challenging circuit, Davide Valsecchi. Davide, Hungarian can be a tricky beast to master. What insight can you give us about today's race?
Ciao Alex, as you say, the circuit can be challenging. There's a lot of slow corner which can make overtaking very frustrating. This will be a good test of this young driver's patience. Waiting for the perfect moment to make an attack will be the key to moving up through the field today.
Well, here we are then, trackside for the Hungarian GP sprint. And oh, it looks like we could see some rain right at the end of the day. But yeah, I don't think it's going to make any difference here. However, what is going to make a difference, I'm going to try and go super aggressive on the tyres. I'm expecting some drama around this circuit. It often delivers, you know, fairly undramatic or completely dramatic Formula 1 races. So I'm going to bank on there being a safety car here. And I'm going to start this one on a set of these soft compound tyres. Of course, it does also mean if the rain rolls in at the end, we have got a chance. But yeah, basically my goal then early on is make up a lot of places. 5 red lights. It's going to be lights out, and away we go there. And immediately, look at that, Juan Manuel Correa, as well as Fittipaldi and Ayuma Oasa, all not getting a good start as we make our way down in towards turn 1. Again, we've still got to be brave there as well. That was Klemon Novalak just getting a little bit caught in a Prima sandwich. And I mean, look at the grip we've got on these soft compound tyres at the start of this event, down the outside of a handful of cars down at turn 1. And of course, like I said, if we can obviously utilise these softer tyres in the early laps and then really park the bus later on in the day, that might be our best way of trying to score some big points here. As you can see, a lot of Constantina and up. Teo Porcher now up into P2 past Monegasque driver Arthur Leclerc. And I believe it is, yeah, an ART 1-2 as Isaac Hadjar going to go defensive into the hairpin. No, he's actually going to have a look for a dive on Jack Doohan there. I'm going to absolutely slam the door on the exit as we got a little bit caught out over the curb and kind of bobbled back towards him. And I think, yeah, in the process of that, he has been shuffled right the way back to the rear of the field then. So Isaac Hadjar, I believe our least successful French driver so far in this campaign. And yeah, it could have been a big weekend for him, and unfortunately I have gone and curb-stomped his hopes in the sprint race today. Down the inside, though, of Jack Doohan through the final corner. I'm going to P5 then by the end of lap 1. So I said we had to go aggressive on this opening lap, but 8 places was certainly a little bit more than I was expecting to gain as Victor Martins leads the way. ART with a 1-2. Well, 2 laps in then. Tyres, they're going to be fun today, I feel. We are going to be absolutely destroying this set of the softs. But yeah, unless we get a safety car or something like that, it's not going to be worth bolting on a second set here if we can avoid it. But yeah, I've got to try and channel my inner Sergio Perez. Not the one of this year where he not make Q3 a lot. The one of years gone by where he was an absolute tyre whisperer. Oh, yellow's out. Someone's got issues. I believe it might be a car behind us. Yes, it is. It's Jack Doohan, who might be out then of the GP. Is it? Yeah, it is Jack Doohan then. Pulling over to the wayside. So heartbreaking end for the Australian. However, yeah, I'm much more worried about my tyre wear. Could have really done with a safety car there, though. What that did also do with Jack Doohan's mechanical failure is it's really opened up a gap behind us. Klemon Novalak desperately defending for all his worth early on. Yeah, 6.5 seconds back to the Trident. However, trying to do the rough maths in my head, these tyres are going to be at about 85% wear by the end of this thing. And that's if I keep driving as smoothly as I'm attempting to now. This is a big test. It's the horrible thing as well at the moment. I've actually closed in on Arthur Leclerc and Brad Benavides. Our tyres are still looking very, very quick against these two. I don't think, however, I'm going to be able to find a way past them. So I kind of just don't want to be stuck near them, but I also don't want to throw away time to the cars behind. Really difficult mental game as well to this one. And as we make our way through the final couple of turns then to half distance here. Captain Novalak is still going up, I'm noticing, but Brad Benavides struggling a bit through the final couple of corners. And look at that, 44% tyre wear. These are not going to be fun towards the end of the afternoon. I will quite happily sacrifice a couple of places if needs be, but I would love to try and score some big points here 5 laps to go then. Looks like Fred Vesti has made the move on Clement Novalak, so you know, if we were Prema right now, we might be telling him just to try and slow down a few of those cars behind him, help me out towards the end of this thing. However, you know, Formula 2, it is still a team sport, but not quite the same way Formula 1's meant to be. So I'm sure Fred's going, well, hang on a minute. I'd taken 2 poles in a row. I want to try and recover my own championship.
We're approaching the pit window, and you're going to be on mediums.
Oh, Mark, I promise you, we are not approaching a pit window still, my friend. We absolutely are not. Oh, there we go. Tyre wear warning lights flashed up. We are going to be really trying to hang on to these tyres inside the final 4 laps, but yeah, we're still not losing anything to Brad Benavides. Still seems like we've got the pace against the medium compound runners. So we've got to continue working on this towards the end of the afternoon. This might still potentially work for me. Oh, here we go. Brad Benavides now has lost the DRS to Arthur Leclerc in front of him, so might become even more vulnerable in these final few laps. We've got yellows out. Someone's got issues. Oh, it's who is it? It's Martins at the front of the field. Victor Martins looks to be out of the Hungarian GP, so that is a heartbreaking end to his afternoon. Martins out from the lead, and it promotes us up into P4. But if Benavides is struggling, maybe a podium is still possible. I'm going to really work the tyres through these final couple of corners just this once to see if we can get a run on Brad Benavides. You can see he's struggling around in that car in front of us, that PHM. But if we can't get a run now, then I don't think we're ever going to get a run. As you can just see how early he's able to get on that throttle at the final corner and can carry that speed all the way back down in towards turn 1 there. And we just don't... Oh, we could have potentially looked for a move down the inside, but it would not have been pretty. Let's just try and hang with him as best as we can. Come on, 2 more laps to go. These tyres now are starting to feel really understeery. Well, I think Arthur Leclerc has absolutely cooked his set as well. Making our way out of the final corner. We'll try and open up the DRS again, but I think now we might start seeing championship leader Brad Benavides applying pressure to the Dams car. 6.4 back to Fred Vesti in P3, but yeah, I think we've just got to try and bring home the result we're on for at the moment. 77% on those fronts. They are bleeding. Rounding in towards the final couple of corners, then Théo Pourchaire. He's going to get it. Well, it looks like he's going to get what could be a really important win by the end of the season, but now we are really starting to struggle. That gap to Dennis Hauger. Under 2 seconds, so can we try and hang on ahead of the MP Motorsport driver there? As you can see, 83% on those fronts, and the car just feels like it's swinging around underneath us like a pendulum at the moment. It's quite weird just how much of the grip from these Formula 2 cars comes from the front, and because we're kind of scrubbing those tyres along, sliding them through the corners, it kind of makes an even bigger effect at the rear of the car. Obviously, I know they aren't, but they almost drive a little bit like a front-wheel drive car in that regard. But making our way through the hairpin for the final time. This has been a real tyre killer all afternoon. You can feel those fronts desperately trying to push out, and the steering, of course, trying to keep them forced in. But yeah, I'm sure Dennis Hauger was expecting our demise to be a lot sooner than it was. These tyres have hung on tremendously well this afternoon, all things considered, but we've just got to pray now as we make our way in towards the final couple of corners that we don't get a puncture, that we can bring these to the flag. We've had a couple of punctures this season, let's not forget, but we have not had one today yet. They're 87%, where I said they were going to be over 85 by the end of this thing, but in towards the final couple of corners, Théo Pourchaire is going to win the Hungarian GP sprint race, but through the final turn, we are going to hang on. It's going to be P4 here. Somehow, we managed to keep those tyres.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
So another fantastic victory for ART today. So, Davide, how exactly did they set themselves apart from the pack today?
The difference was in the strategy. Credit to the driver for sure, but races like this really drive home how much of a team sport this is. They did a lot of work on the pit wall to really make the most of each stint and to make the best use of these tires. But that said, all of that would have been for nothing without a talented hand on the wheel.
ART, the French team who have been racing since the 90s in various forms of motorsport, are once again back on the winner's podium today after a brilliant display of driving skill. And now, let's take a look at the driver's standings. It's a good result for Brad Benavides, who extends his advantage at the top of the championship. Now then, Davide Valsecchi, who would you say was your driver of the day?
Difficult call, but I'd like to say Théo Pourchaire. He's just so gifted at getting the most out of the tires, and he showed that today.
On to the teams then. It was a tough race for our championship leaders, who lose ground at the top of the table. After all this drama, you would be mad not to join us for the next race. We hope to see you then. Take care.
Well, there we are then, the end of the F2 sprint race here from the Hungaroring, and it is Théo Pourchaire from 4th on the grid there. Must have had a really good start, and it takes the dub today there. 8 seconds away though in the end for us, means we only lose out 1 point to Brad Benavides there. Unfortunately still means we're behind Jay and Aruvula, but we did beat out some of our other big rivals, and surely, yeah, Pourchaire there now. What's that? 7 cars covered by 26 points. There's effectively 7 different drivers that could be leading the championship by the time we leave the Hungaroring in tomorrow's event. Now, I'm sure Victor Martin's really ruined that and would hope, you know, he could have been 10 points closer and in that fight as well. This F2 season is just absolutely blowing my mind up to this point there. Unfortunately, it's not really doing particularly well for Prema. We're still 56 points back there, but 3 in it between MP and ART there. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back tomorrow then when Formula 2 returns here from Hungary. A massive thank you to all of my YouTube members and my Patreon supporters for their continued donations to help my work. These things go much further than I think a lot of you ever realise and allow me to continue making content full-time here on YouTube. So if you want to support me from as little as £1 a month and be featured on all of these end clips, either click the join button next to the subscribe or head over to my Patreon. There's a link down in the description.